Hey friends, here's an advanced harmony exercise technique that I use for improvising, and also I use it for the way I formulate my chords occasionally as well. It's a different approach than what I normally take, but it's something worthwhile to have a think about if you're looking at ways to play maybe a little bit outside, or you're just looking at ways at trying to make your playing a little bit more interesting. All right, so this idea is that we're building on top of dominant seventh chords. Here's my C7 chord, right? I've got 1, 3, and 7 on my C7 chord, my dominant chord. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a triad on top of the diminished chord of C. All right, so as in the notes of the diminished chord. So C, E flat, F sharp, and A. They're the notes of a C sharp diminished chord. We're not going to bother about the C chord because that's just, just a standard, C7, right? But if I build on top of the next diminished one, which is the E flat, is the kind of sound I get. Don't you like that? So instead of like using just a normal 9, perhaps, which is quite nice, that's silky smooth, and it's I use that kind of all the time. Here we're using. It's just slightly a little bit more edgy. All right, I'm going to go to the next one, which is the F sharp. All right, that's a second inversion of the F sharp. Put it up there. Now that's kind of got a really nice edge, and then the next one, which is the A. So I'm going to do an A triad. I quite like that inversion of it as well. You can play it down here. I mean, there's root position, which you could, if you wanted to, you could have that kind of a sound going on as well. So it's an interesting kind of thought. Now, it's fairly complex harmony. When we do the E flat chord, what we're doing is we're adding in a sharp 9. Normally we'd think of that as a D sharp, right? In the C context, right? So that's D sharp. So that'd be C7 sharp 9. But we're thinking of it at the moment as an E flat triad on top of a C7. All right. Okay, when we go to the F sharp, when we're playing F sharp over C7, we're looking at a flat 9 and a sharp 11, right? So that's why we get some kind of interesting kind of sounds, because they're all altered chords, right? And then also when we go to the A chord, we've got the 13 here, which is creating a bit of a nice sound, but also the flat 9, okay? So that's why we get the interesting kind of sound going on. Now you can use that. Let me just put that into a bit of context. Let me play a bit of My Romance, just the first line of it. All right, there's just a nice C major 7, D minor 7. Here I'm going to E minor 7. Now I'm going to use an A7 here. Now normally I would play normally I'll play lots of different things really. Let's just say we just keep the harmony fairly normal, right? That'd be an A9. C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, A9. Back to the D minor, G7. Alright, this time I'm going to just add a couple of these ideas over just the dominant chords. I'm going to use the C chord here. Alright, do you like that sound? Back to that D minor. Now I'm going to use let's go with the D flat chord here. Alright, which just becomes because of these two guys, it becomes an altered chord, right? Alright, let's try something different. So let's go. What else are we going to try? Let's try the E flat chord on top of the A, right? Oh, it's juicy, isn't it? Alright, now I'm going to go to the. I might play the tritone substitute of G, right, instead. So which you normally can't play like that. Which is nice on its own. But let's go. I'm going to play the tritone substitute, but then I'm going to play a G chord on top of that. Right? right? So I'm using a principle of reharmonization, which is the tritone substitute, but then I'm using one of these principles. Here's the diminished notes of D flat or C sharp, whatever you want to think of it as, right? And I used the G chord, so I played my 1-3 and the 7, and then you play the G triad on top of that. There's almost put the 5 in there. Isn't that nice? I quite like it. Now you can use that for improvising as well. Let's say playing a bit of blues in F maybe. Here's right, F to B flat, right? Instead of playing, there's the F chords, right? The notes for the F. I'm gonna go to the B. Here's the B chord coming up. Then when I go to the B flat chord, I'm going to play the, why don't we do the D flat, right? And then, but I'm gonna resolve that here. All right, now resolved it with a guide tone. I mean, guide tones are just a perfect way to resolve anything. Whenever you're playing outside, you got to make sure you know what is inside, so you can know when to come back, right? So here's a good example. With my F7, there's my F7. I'm going to go up the A flat chord. Right, then I'm going to go, now we're doing so going from the A flat to the B. And then the last one, the D. Interesting sounds, isn't it? Back to just kind of an F9 right there, okay? So let's try it again. So we've got F, going up the A flat chord, down the B, up the D. All right, I hope that's helpful. I hope that is you can use that in your playing somewhere. Yeah, so here it is with a bit of Satin Dial.